Folks, Black Bull Markets have 10 merch packs to give away to clients who sign up before the end of the year, including one of these trader keys. So to go in the draw, all you need to do is sign up with the link below this video or in the podcast description, and you'll go in the draw to win. It's that simple. And remember, folks, when you sign up to Black Bull Markets through the Trading Nut link below, you're going to get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000 on your first deposit. All you need to do is click the link in the description below the video or the podcast.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Brinks Trades, and this lighting's terrible. Let me scooch this over just a little bit like this. What's going on, everybody? It's Brinks Trades here, back again with another live breakdown. Let's go ahead and get into the charts. Let me go ahead to the screen right here. Give it a couple minutes for some people to hop on, and let's go from there. How's everybody doing this morning? How's everybody doing? Dale says good morning. One says hi. I think I'm saying your name right. If I'm not, it's cool. Correct me. So let's go ahead and look at these charts. All right. Okay, so let's look at dollar index as we're getting more people loading on, coming on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the dollar index. And so again, you guys know, if this is your first time watching, obviously my name is Brinks Trades, 10-year day trader, and I do the indices breakdown here in the Trading Nut podcast. So I also do Forex and also do stuff in my private chat. I'll drop the link for those later if you guys are interested in being part of that. But the main overall thing I want to talk to is about indices as usual. And so whenever we do indices, if you've been here for a while, you know that we always start with the dollar index first because we know that dollar is king in the markets. And so we know that dollar controls all of the movements. And so if we have an idea of where dollar is going to go, then we can start to formulate our bias for the other pairs. And so dollar usually has an inverse relationship with indices, and as well as maybe Forex pairs that end in the US dollar, like Euro USD, GBP USD, right? And so if we Hey, what's up, guys? I don't know what happened with the stream, but it looks like the stream like crashed for a second. Um, that's weird. So, guys, if you can hear me, you can see me. Go ahead and jump back and just throw some comments in the chat. That's weird. Let me see. That's so weird. Okay, can you guys, if you guys can hear me and see my screen, throw some comments in the chat. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, hey guys. So yeah, sorry about that delay, but let's go ahead and get back to dollar index. And so, um, if you can, if we can, look at dollar really quickly. Make sure you guys can see visibly. Okay, cool. So yeah, so again, so basically we do dollar index just to kind of get a better understanding of where the dollar is going to be at. And if we can make that understanding, then we can probably have some educated guesses as far as where we think other currency pairs are going to go and where the stocks or where indices are going to go as well. And so they have an inverse relationship between the dollar and the indices. So so what I wanted to see here is in the weekly time frame, there's a couple levels that we wanted to see price respect. The first level was the high of the last few weeks, which we currently traded past. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And then the consequent encroachment of this order block here, right? And so I wanted to see, ideally, to continue on with this downtrend. I wanted to see price respect those levels. And so since we haven't been getting those levels, I'd want to see price continue on and really go down. We potentially could stay with the downtrend, but I think overall, kind of our drawn liquidity is going to be this high right here. And so I'd like to see price really come to this level and really test these equal highs. If we get a significant close above this area, then I'm probably going to be transitioning my bias to more of an uptrend, and that's just kind of our quarterly shift that we've talked about. But this area right here is kind of like our last target, our last kind of like resistance area as far as keeping this downtrend present. So ideally, what I'd like to see is price for this week to trade to this area. So I'll be looking for price to do something similar to that. Something similar to that, where we're going to be heading for 104.25 as our main target for this upcoming week. If we go down to the daily time frame, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this because this is that consequent encroachment line. If we kind of zoom in on this zone, this right here is going to be something that one of my students actually asked me about this. We kind of broke down charts yesterday, and we were talking about kind of like power of three. And if you're familiar with that concept, you're going to be able to see that very quickly in this zone. But ideally, what I'd like to see is price really, if we go to the 4-hour time frame, really trade back somewhere into this imbalance here. And this imbalance range is going to be 103.73 to 102.8. So it's a pretty wide gap. But I'd like to see price trade a little bit closer within this range, specifically here. So I'll be looking at the oversection of these two areas of, I guess, quote unquote support here at 103.65 and 103. So somewhere in this range is where I'd like to see price really trade to this week, and looking for buy opportunities to trade to our ultimate high, which is that 104.25. So that means overall, I'm going to make the short-term bias, not long-term, the short-term bias that I want to see dollar go higher. And so when I was looking at charts yesterday, where's my thing at? When I was looking at charts yesterday, sorry, let me write this down just so we can see this. Short-term bias is long for this week. Not so yeah, again, so our short-term bias is long. And so when I was looking at charts yesterday, I noticed that dollar is flowing in line with what our indices are. And so ideally, dollar and our indices should have an inverse relationship, right? So if dollar's going up, Nasdaq should be going down. or S&P should be going down, or Dow Jones should be going down. And so the past week, we've actually seen, if I move to the E-mini, we've actually seen prices kind of move in the same direction. So that's kind of a red flag as far as like, if you have a checklist of like setups and checklist of like what I'm looking for in the market. I want to see those things ideally move in opposite directions and or have an inverse relationship. And that's okay. It's not saying that I won't necessarily trade those opportunities, but it just means that this is not probably going to be the highest probability setup or the most I guess the setups that I feel the most comfortable with. So I will still look to trade those and continue on with this bullish bias with Nasdaq. But it is something in the back of my head, that I'm kind of like making note of, that like dollar is kind of moving in the same direction. Maybe we're kind of grabbing for liquidity and we're going to turn around on one of these. So it's kind of an idea that I'll have in the back of my head. And so studying like intermarket relationships, between the dollar, different Forex pairs, and indices is something that you should do on a regular basis, just so you kind of have familiarity. So I'm just going to the comments. Let's see. Okay, that's Brian. Hey, Brian. Cool, thanks. So quantum indices futures trader says trading the US30 is not for amateurs. Lots of games of volatility is creating a lot of whipsaw, liquidity being pumped. Is being pumped, so very careful shorting. And I honestly agree. I mean, I think trading indices in general, if you don't know what you're doing, they move very quickly and you can blow an account very quickly. It's just like a lot of people are aware of that. I will say that again, I also agree with the sentiment of shorting. Like when the market is running for new highs, the last thing you want to do is try and catch a falling knife, right? And so all of my biases, now at some point we will have a shift and we will start probably attacking sell side liquidity or seller volume. But as of right now, we kind of have to run with the trend. It would be very dumb to kind of look for selling opportunities because they're going to be very, very short and very hard to come by in this market. So you kind of have to run with the trend in certain situations. Anytime we're trading at all-time highs, like we are here, you kind of have to just attack the highs. And so if we zoom in on E-mini, so there's a couple of things I'm going to get rid of. So if anybody goes to my YouTube channel, Brinks Trades, or if you're in the Telegram, I dropped a video of I think it was like the 1 or 2 trades that I took this past week. You guys can watch those and kind of get a little better understanding of what I do on a daily basis. They're very quick videos. It's not all the quote unquote secrets are spilled there, but you guys can kind of see me in action there. So if we go down to the daily time frame, actually, let's go back up to the weekly. So on Nasdaq, there's really a couple of levels that I'll be looking for as far as targets. And usually I have one specific target for the week, but since these are two very close together, then I'm going to kind of make a note of both of those. So really just the highs of last week. So, or the high of the last 2 weeks are going to be like kind of my target areas for this week. And so if I'm making a note of that on the E-mini, the high is 17,796. That's the all-time high on the E-mini futures. And so the secondary high of last week is 17,770. So they're very close to each other, like within like 10 points. So these are going to be my targets for this week, is that all-time high. Not saying that we will necessarily get there all this week, but that's what I'll be aiming for. And so if we go to the daily time frame, actually, let me go here real quick. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if we go to the daily time frame, this has just been a bunch of mess. And so like if we go back last week, what we wanted to see originally, if I go back to the weekly, sorry, I'm jumping all around today. Ideally, what I said I wanted to see was price really find an opportunity to trade into this fair value gap that would have been formed. and really look for opportunities to buy. Not saying that I would have shorted to this gap, right? Because we don't want to take any shorting opportunities, but really looking here for optimal entries as far as us looking to buy. We have an order block, we have a fair value gap. It's high probability stuff, right? So we are going to the daily time frame, and that's exactly what we got. So if we fast forward to this week's price action, we saw a price trade in here, and it gapped in here. So this was a huge gap that happened, and created what we know as a volume imbalance. And so ideally, what I'd like to see price do is really just trade into this zone starting the week off. And I'm gonna note this out as a volume imbalance, right? And so ideally, again, these are the targets for this week, is the all-time highs, or this gray line here at 17,793. Going down to the 4-hour time frame, there's a couple levels that I want to note. Ideally, I'd like to see price. Well, ideally, at the minimum, I'd like to see price trade back into this range here and look for opportunities to go long. At this zone here. And that zone is at 17,647, and really start to look, obviously, for the high of last week. That is kind of like a first initial target, but then the all-time high here is here as well. So I'd like for that to play out. If we do get a deeper run past that, then I'll be looking to potentially buy in at where'd it go? Okay, cool. If we get a deeper run past that initial entry, I'd like to see price potentially retest this volume imbalance here and then go up. So those will be the two levels that I'll be looking at to continue to buy in at. I won't, obviously, we got to let price trade to those levels. I won't be looking for any type of short opportunities. Let me go ahead and get rid of this because it's old. So these two levels at 17,647 and 17,585 are going to be the levels that I'm going to look to trade to this upcoming week. Or I'm sorry, look to potentially get in on buys to start the week off. If price just runs out, like starts the week off and just attacks our target right off the bat and there's no trade, then it's just no trade. You'll kind of have to reevaluate the market as we go on. But ideally, my most ideal setup is price retrading to this volume imbalance. Here. And let me make that a little bigger, dash line. And I want to mark the midpoint of this as well. So ideally, I'd like to see price kind of trade to those two levels. If we get something like that, then that would be kind of like my most optimal setup. Will be trading back and retesting this volume imbalance. But again, if we start the week out by taking out these highs, and I kind of have to sit on my hands and just kind of wait for the next optimal setup, which could come midweek or just next week. So let's see. No questions here. Boom. So if we go to the US500, so it's going to be something very similar. Obviously, if you look at the weekly time frame, or last week, we wanted to see price again trade into this fair value gap that we formed, and we made note of a volume imbalance that was sitting right there. And so we traded through that. So obviously our top two levels were going to be these two zones. And so we wanted to see price kind of trade back into this area and then, give us an opportunity to really attack the all-time high, which was sitting here at 4,906. And so if we kind of fast forward, going down to the daily time frame, again, this is kind of what we wanted to see. So we saw the high get taken out. We saw it trade back into that zone again, and then ultimately take out the high yesterday. And so again, if we're looking for opportunities to trade, let's go down to the 4-hour time frame. Or not opportunities to trade, but opportunities to see like where the market's going to potentially move for this upcoming week. Again, it's going to look very similar. There's two levels that I'll be looking at here. The first one will be this zone here, or I guess the most optimal zone will be there. And, I'm sorry. Boom. Right there. Let's make this green. And then these two levels will be kind of the levels that I'll be looking at for price to trade back into next week. Overall, I don't like US 500 or I guess US 500, the S&P, whatever you want to call it, depending on the platform you're looking at. I don't like this as much as Nasdaq, because we didn't take out all-time highs on Nasdaq. We did on S&P, and so this kind of gives us a better idea of the target of where liquidity is still resting at there. But ideally, if I were trading this, then these are the two areas that I would look at, potentially a third level here to see how price reacts to these zones. Let me get rid of that. So again, if you're looking at US 500, that zone is going to be 4,947 run to 4,041. 4,887 runs to 4,871 there, and then this opportunity for sell side at 4,902. So those will be the areas that I'll be looking at and for to see if we could get a continuation of the bullish trend. I'm not going to break anything down lower than that, but that's where I'll be looking for those three, or for those for US 500 / ES or the S&P. Dow Jones is very similar. I use Dow Jones as a barometer. I personally don't trade it at all. This is the one where I would honestly, I wouldn't trade Dow Jones at all. I want to see a retest of this level here. At 38,591, or I'll be looking at sell side here at 38,091. And so if price runs to either one of the two of those levels, those will kind of be like the areas that I'll be looking for as far as opportunities to buy. So that level, and then take the top, and then a third level again, similar to ES or US 500, is this low here. So those will be the three levels that I'd be looking at. Most likely price is only going to run to one of those. So it's not like I'm just marking three and keep trying to buy in at each one of those levels. As soon as price hits those levels, I'm looking for very specific things to happen around those levels. And most likely price will only give us one. Now, going back to the daily time frame on all three of these, since they look very similar, if price trades below this low here, which you can find it on your respective charts, like Nasdaq, the low is here at 17,221. US 500, it's here at 4,481, and Dow Jones is here at 38,000. But whatever this low is on the day time frame, if price for whatever reason, for the majority of next week breaks this low and we get a solid close, then I will be looking to change my overall bias and transition to more of a short-term bias for the next few weeks, depending on what the market looks like. So this is kind of like my I guess fail-safe level for any type of bullishness on all three of those charts. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much all I've got. I'll stay on for any questions as usual. Let's hit these comment sections. Super Forex Academy says, hello, sir. What's going on, Super Forex Academy? How's it going? John Lowe, thanks for commenting earlier. You mentioned the stream was back. Chris, what more? Appreciate it. Thomas, good morning. Again, I apologize for the stream. I don't know what happened. So we use this technology called StreamYard, and I think it just kind of went out for a second. So I don't know exactly what happened, but yeah. So hopefully this helps you guys out a little bit. And if you guys have any questions, per usual, stay on, and you can feel free to type them in. I'll ask them, or I'll answer them. And then what I want to do too, again, is if you're not locked in with me, if this is your first time watching, go ahead and join my Telegram chat. Again, this is for updated analysis / motivational stuff / just staying in, locked in with what I'm doing. A lot of people have asked me about mentorship. Again, I'm trying to get something open in March, and really figure out something for then. Um, I'm working on a couple different options for people, just depending on how people learn best. But that is the link to my Telegram chat right there. Just go ahead and drop it in the chat. Stay locked in with me, and I'll have more details for that as we kind of get closer to March. But hopefully, there's a lot of good stuff that people will be interested in. So, yeah. So yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys. If you have any questions at all, you can always hit me in Telegram or follow me on any social at Brinks Trades. And so let me drop this in the chat. So Brinks Trades is going to be, my YouTube channel. It's going to be my overall social media. So feel free to follow me there as well. So hope you guys have a good weekend, and happy trading. And then obviously take some time away from the charts and go enjoy the weekend. So peace. Have a good one.